Welcome back to the Sports Complex on a Monday afternoon. On the show today, Texas volleyball gets a big win on Saturday to advance to the semifinals of the NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament. Could be trying to defend that national championship crown they won last year. We'll get a recap of all the NFL news, some good, some bad for the Texas teams. Get into the NBA in-season tournament wrapping up this weekend, and NBA kicking off now a new start of the season of basketball, post in-season tournament. We'll get into that, but for between the time of in-season tournament and when people care at Christmas, we'll see how popular that basketball is. We'll talk a little bit of NCAA football, Heisman Trophy, a bunch of awards given out this weekend. We'll get into that. And also some Texas basketball, as Texas basketball gets a win this weekend as well. Maybe we'll get into some baseball. There was a signing that happened on.
Oh, did something happen?
Did something happen over the weekend? Something happened. So we'll get into all of that. Plus, your text messages, 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776 is the text line. You guys drive the show. We just try to keep it on the rails. Myself, Patrick Davis, and with me, as always, the great Jacob Standard. Did you have a good weekend?
Woo! I had a great weekend, man. Cowboys are the bona fide number one team in the NFL, and I'll tell you why. Later.
Tell you why. Just a few minutes. I knew he would be riding high after watching the game last night. I knew Jacob was going to come in fired up. Also, your Lakers won the in-season tournament.
Man, I'm telling you, it was a great sports weekend. The Longhorns also advanced to the Final Four in volleyball.
Final two. Final Four. Sorry. Final Four, yes. That is it was a good weekend. It was a good. Texas men's basketball got a win.
Look at that. Bounce back win. Needed that.
They got a bounce back win. It was a good weekend. How does it feel to peak in December?
Man, it feels – I'm not sure how to feel about it after you phrase it that way. I was feeling pretty good. Way to knock me down within 5 minutes.
Just got to knock somebody down a peg. That's what you got to do to Cowboys fans. Otherwise, they get too up in it, and then
fair.
Then the fall off the cliff is always so much more painful. So you have to kind of just keep it down.
Okay, see, I'm not going to allow this to go on. The cliff is not coming this season. We are going straight to the mountaintop.
First, we did want to tell you that Texas volleyball does get the win 3-1 over Tennessee, the number one seed in their bracket.
Over Stanford,
sorry. Stanford, and then their bracket. They will go on to play Wisconsin on Thursday in the Final Four. If they win that one, they move on to the championship game, which I believe is all the way January 1st, I think.
Oh, I'm not certain on the scheduling of it.
I think it's down the road, but we'll see. I don't know for sure. I was looking in an app, and that's when it said it would be, so I don't know if that's 100% true, but I do know that they did get the win 3-1. We both had it all. I mean, this volleyball team is fun to watch.
Yeah, they play an electric brand of volleyball. Like I said, they're flying around the court, and again, Madison Skinner shining through. She had 24 kills after setting her career-high 26 against Tennessee the match before this. They went into Stanford's home court and beat them in 4 sets. It was super impressive to watch. Only 2 seed to make the Final Four in Tampa, by the way.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to see them come back. Maybe had a little bit of trouble throughout the season to maintaining and defending their national championship crown. But when it matters the most, they are showing up and getting the wins.
11th trip to the Final Four in the last 15 seasons.
That's good. That's a good volleyball program.
Yeah.
Speaking of showing up when it matters the most, Cowboys did it last night.
Yes, they did, man.
The Cowboys, we talked about it on Friday that this did seem to be lining up, that the Eagles are not playing great football right now. The Cowboys are playing really, really good football. Cowboys have regained a home field advantage that they never seem to really have at Jerry World. All of that came together. Dak Prescott is playing at a really high level as well. Mike McCarthy was not in the building for a couple days, helped him get even better.
Oh, yeah. Is that what it was? Is that what pushed him over the edge? No.
The Cowboys get a big 20-point win, 33-13 over the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. It was never really a game. It always felt like the Eagles were about to score and kind of come back into it. There was always the thing of, well, if they get one score here, it could be a game, and the Cowboys just did not allow it.
Except once, when they got the defensive touchdown, is when it felt like, here we go.
Yeah, it did. When Dak Prescott the arm came around.
Can't explain it.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't used to getting pressured like that. And he thought he'd get away from it. It was good defensive play and a scoop and score for the Eagles. The turnover ratio, we got that one, which was a scoop and score, so it was a big one, but the Eagles did turn the ball over 3 times in that game. That was one of the problems is, they would get a little bit of momentum going and they would turn the ball over. You can't have that many. I think this Cowboys team, we throw in the fact that they, whether or not it's the way they wanted to get it done. They did get 138 rushing yards against this Eagles team.
I don't think they really cared how they got it done, as long as the score came out looking the way
Well,
it
no,
did.
but I'm just saying the rushing yards is, if you're playing, you think, okay, well, we'll have a, Tony Pollard will have a big game, or, but they got, Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard shared carries, and they did okay in the game. They were able to get 138 rushing yards, which means it opens it up for Dak Prescott to go out there and have a game where he plays really good, doesn't have to force things throughout the game, goes for 271 and 2 touchdowns. Ferguson is really stepping up in that role that we thought he was going to be a little bit earlier in the season, but it seems like he's coming on right now to be the tight end that Dak Prescott needs. Everything seems to be going well for the Cowboys, and we can even say this defense that has been porous at times, and something that I brought up that I think that there's people who know that Dan Quinn's tells. And we saw it in Seattle, we saw it against San Francisco, we saw it against the Cardinals, where teams just seem to know what his tells are about how he's lining up, about how he's doing things. Micah Parsons lined up in a lot of different places and was doing some different things, and I think he's starting to figure out what those tells are.
Right.
And starting to correct them. And again, this game, it looked like they couldn't figure out what Micah Parsons was going to, where he was coming or what he was going to be doing, and it didn't signal off the rest of the defense that Dan Quinn seemed to short up a bit. We'll see. You're still going to have to, see if Dan Campbell figures it out, or Ben Johnson, someone over there. If somebody else can figure it out again this season, the Eagles definitely couldn't.
Well, that's my favorite part about this win, is where it happened, because you talked about the diving off the cliff after peaking in December.
Yeah.
But with the lineup of games they have coming up, going to Buffalo, going to Miami, playing Detroit at home, you have to stay ready. There is no opportunity to fall off the cliff until you get to Washington in Week 18. So they're going to be battle-tested and ready to go heading into the playoffs if they keep playing like this. And Dak is cementing his spot in the MVP race if he can run through this string of games playing like he did last night.
No, he is definitely pushing himself up in that MVP race. And what's funny is he's now getting to the part where he doesn't have to have 400 yards to stay in that MVP conversation, where I think that...
Well, neither does Brock Purdy.
No, but that's my point, is he's not having to have those games, but he's still having a very... Like when we came in there, I told you, I can say it, that becomes off as a jerk move, but it's like he looked like he had a better game statistically than he did. So if you watch the game, you thought, man, Dak Prescott's killing it. He's doing a great job. And then 271 2Ds, not a bad line, but I would have been surprised he didn't have 300 yards. That's what I'm saying. Is I tested the game. I thought he did even better than what his stats look like, which is a good thing.
That's fair. I just get, and the reason it rubbed me wrong when you said it to me.
Oh no, I said it to be a jerk.
I know you said it to be a jerk, but also I get tired of people saying that Dak can't win the big game and then discount every single one of his big wins, which I've done that. I've definitely done that before. But this, like I said, the week leading up to this feels different. Dak and McCarthy have figured something out. Dak's a dad now. I guess that changes things. But
wasn't that somebody? Or he's not a dad. He's expecting, right?
He's expecting.
He's expecting, and I saw there was some announcer who said it was the worst thing that could ever happen.
Really?
Yeah, there was some.
Because I've seen a bunch of people talk about all these stats.
If you wonder why I don't do hot take radio a lot,
yeah,
it's because guys have hot take radio. Makes you go down past where you go. Dak Prescott becoming a father, career's over, guys. It was it's a bad hot take. Well, I can't remember who it was.
There's our very first ever and our last Patrick Davis hot take radio. No, there's other factors that factor into it, but something just, I don't know what helped him realize it. I don't know if McCarthy is talking to him slower during meetings. Something sunk in to where he's hitting that second foot, and if the read's not there, he's dumping it down or getting out of the pocket. And it's really fun to watch. I love seeing the Cowboys play like this.
You know what I'll tell you, and this is because I don't like Mike McCarthy still.
Okay.
I think that Dak is figuring out how to do things on his own for a part, where he's saying, okay, this is the overview, but I don't need to take it, because he was with Kellen Moore, who Kellen Moore is very much more of I'm going to tell you everything you need to do. And I think there was a learning curve with him, with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, where he was expecting, and Mike McCarthy said something, he went, okay, I have to hit these 3 reads, or I have to do these 4. And now he's running on, if he doesn't have in the first 2, he knows he can scramble. And I think he's kind of figuring out things on his own, that he has to be an independent thinker. He has to be able to do his own things. And I'm not saying that Mike McCarthy's calling bad plays. I'm saying that it's a different coaching style that took him a little bit to get into the season, to where now he feels comfortable in it to make his own decisions and make the right reads and go do the things, as opposed to, this play should work. I'm being told the play should work if I do everything right, and it's not working.
Yeah, no, isn't that not a testament to Mike, though, of that allowing him to be his own QB
I think he's
in
just
the
lazy.
system?
But
what about all that drilling they did on the timing of footwork to the route in the offseason?
The footwork's big, I know, and that's the footwork stuff is huge. we've seen that he has more confidence in that. Dak Prescott's confidence is at an all-time high.
It's never been low. Let me just the
No,
decision making has been terrible.
No, but there's a difference of confidence of, oh, I'm figuring things out, I'm playing really well, and confidence of we can be better is a different type of confidence than what Dak Prescott has now. Dak Prescott has we are good confidence, not we can be good confidence.
Fair enough.
I think that was kind of for a lot of it was, guys, if X, Y, and Z happen, then we're a full team. And now he's like, oh, I have to go do X, Y. I get it now. Okay, I get it. I have to do it.
Oh, it was on me to get X, Y, Z done.
Yeah, it's like, no, like, they're not going to get it. And if I don't pick to choose to target CeeDee Lamb, the coach may not do it. I have to pick it. If I see the route and I see a guy up on CeeDee Lamb, I know to get it. If I see Ferguson and they're trying to stick a slow linebacker on him, then I'm going to go throw it to Ferguson.
By the way, leading receiver last night.
Yeah.
Ferguson.
Yeah, he was. And CeeDee Lamb was right behind him.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is I can read the matchup now. And I'm not worried about Kellen Moore calling a play before the matchup was seen.
Oh.
Or Mike McCarthy calling a play before the matchup was seen and then doing what they wanted without the matchup. That's what I mean more of him picking the things out. Is I'm finding the best matchup. I'm trusting myself to go with that matchup. And now we're doing better, which I don't think Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy would mind making the play work. But you can't predict beforehand who they're going to go put out on a guy. If they say, well, your number one option is Brandon Cooks, and they double team Brandon Cooks, and they put a defensive lineman out on CeeDee Lamb. You're throwing at CeeDee Lamb 100% of the time, right? Even if he's your fifth option.
This season he is. Last season it was
he's throwing
it was
Brandon
1-2 hit my read. 1-2 hit my read.
And that's what I'm saying. I think this season he's getting more into, okay, let me read the pre-snap what the defense is doing.
Yeah.
And take what they're giving me as opposed to doing exactly what I'm supposed to do in the play, which works against bad teams because those coaches could call against bad teams. Now against good teams, you have the weapons. This is why you get so many weapons for a team, because the more weapons you get, the more mismatches you're going to have.
Right.
And one of your guys is going to be in single coverage, and one of your guys is going to have the weaker defender on them. Well, and you're going to be able to go out there and get it. And I mean, and that's not stake that, we saw Jalen Hurts is still working through that because he kept throwing to A.J. Brown. I know it's A.J. Brown, but he apparently pissed off Gilmore at the beginning of the game by calling him old.
Man, no, they were getting into it. There was like 2 plays in. They were already in each other's face, grabbing each other's face mask, and Gilmore followed A.J. Brown the rest of the evening, right on his hip. I absolutely love seeing Gilmore have one night in shining because I don't know if he can recreate that every night like he used to when he was Defensive Player of the Year.
No, I don't think so. But it does help you now with DaRon Bland. He got all the attention for the most pick sixes, and they went right after him. Seattle went right after DaRon Bland.
At him.
And so you had to kind of adjust. You had to adjust because, okay, well, they're going to go right at DaRon Bland because they know he's being opportunistic. So let's try and get Gilmore on their main guy and see if we can get Gilmore in there and just kind of play more shutdown. We won't get the interceptions. We don't need him as long as they're punting the ball.
Yeah. No.
And you saw that kind of play. And it was just, I think the adjustments by Dan Quinn, after being exposed for the 3rd time in the season, and kind of realizing I need to change something in this because the defense is really good, but it doesn't mean anything. He changed and did what he needed to do. We know that the Cowboys offense has been rolling. The Cowboys offense didn't need any adjustments really.
No.
But they're continuing on. Ferguson's continuing to grow. I mean, it is. Right now, if you watch this Cowboys team, the only thing you're worried about is peaking too early, and that's not the worst thing in the world to be worried about. But, you go, well, is this a peak? And then, you kind of run out of steam in the playoffs because that's been a problem before, but at the same point, you're peaking at the hardest part of your schedule.
Yeah, and I think they've been building to this ever since that 42-10 loss to the 49ers because they have been pouring it on people outside of one loss to Philly in between there, and we all know 1st and goal at the 5, 30 seconds, imploded. Yeah, we've been over that. But they have been building up to this point, and that's why I love that this is the point of the schedule it happened. You have to stay ready for these next 3 games.
You do. You do have to stay ready. You have to stay going. And you got to stay ready for the Commanders. We know they're going to be out of the playoffs.
Sure.
But you could be fighting right now for the number 1 seed, depending on how the rest of the season shakes out.
Right.
So, and you want that bye week because,
you want the home field.
You want the home field, but you also that bye week of, letting your players rest up as guys are getting more and more banged up throughout the season is not a bad thing to have.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot going into it, but you couldn't have asked for a better result out of that game, that your offense still looked good. Your defense looked really good. And, we can say all day long the Eagles are struggling right now. The people are, now getting on that the Eagles are garbage.
Pretenders, phonies.
Which,
it's all
I mean,
coming out. Come on.
They're still good. It's just, how long can you push the same kind of thing? You just have to keep growing. I think Jalen Hurts is kind of beat up as well. But they'll continue to get better and move on. They needed a wake-up call, and getting, we saw San Francisco 49ers get their wake-up call. They lose 3 straight games going to that bye week and come out and look unbeatable.
No, they haven't looked the same since, yeah.
But I think the Eagles right now getting smoked by the 49ers, getting smoked by the Cowboys, they're getting their wake-up call now. Okay, everybody, this is no longer – we weren't able to go in and just on sheer will beat the Cowboys, which we kind of thought we could.
Yeah, they thought they could just out-football the Cowboys.
And they couldn't.
Yeah.
So if we see that, and the tush-push still worked, it's great. That was about that was about the main thing that worked well for them in that game.
It was about the only positive play they had going.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, that they scored 13 points, and one of that is on just Dak Prescott having a brain fart and not covering up the football while he's getting hit.
You just can't explain that play.
Yeah. I mean, it probably cost him the MVP.
Okay. All right. Let's take it easy.
All right.
There is one sour note I want to get to. Hankins in the middle of that Cowboys defense, huge in run stuffing. They say he's a high ankle sprain, and the projections right now are hopefully he's back by the playoffs. So that's going to hurt these next few weeks.
It is. And hey, look, now if he's got Trevor Lawrence ability, he's back next week.
Yeah, go get that doctor.
But no, it is sad to see that. Hopefully Mozzie Smith is going to be able to step into that role. We know he wasn't great at the beginning of the season, but he's a rookie. So we'll see if he's going to be able to step up and be able to fill that gap for 3 to 4 weeks.
I think his biggest issue is gas tank. I think being able to keep Mozzie Smith on the field for a long, sustained drive.
But now you're saying, okay, now this is it. This is where we get to kind of test you out. This is why you want depth at that position.
Yeah.
So this is what we'll see with Mozzie Smith. I agree with that. The Bills beat the Chiefs 20-17. Controversy in this game. We knew it was going to be close. Controversy at the end of the game where the Chiefs are clearly have won too many games now because they are freely going after the officials after a loss.
I mean, blatantly.
Like they were like, we were screwed completely.
This is the worst call in officiating history. They called offsides. You were offsides.
Yeah, and it was a correct call. I understand the situation of it that you don't normally call that. There's normally a warning before you call it. The whole courtesy of telling people, that's only if you ask.
It's a courtesy.
And judging by the fact they didn't say, because I've heard other people when this happens, the guy will look at the umpire and the ask, and the ref won't say anything or anything, and then they'll get the flag, and they'll go, "Hey man, that's screwed up. If I ask you, you got it. You can't not tell me and then throw the flag."
Yeah, if I point my finger at you and say, "Are we good?" Tell me.
And so that's happened. I believe it's happened this season. That someone was
they actually got the flag.
They got the flag after it. And so like that I would get. But we have not heard anybody say that happened. So if we're not saying that they gave the okay and then he was offsides, it means Kadarius Toney didn't look.
Oh no, watch the replay. He's staring at the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't ask.
7 feet away from it. I don't know how he doesn't understand he's not onside.
I don't know. I do. It's Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, repeat offender, right?
Kadarius Toney gets the most separation of any player who has never caught a pass in his career. That dude is so good until the end of the play when it really matters.
Well, I saw a highlight this morning. I was watching SportsCenter, and they were showing it back in Week 13 against the Packers. Kadarius Toney can't get set. He's on the wrong side of the formation, so then he tries to go to the other side. They snap the ball. He gets like a 10-yard gain, and it's wiped away for illegal movement before the snap. He
has so many of those types of plays. So I get why it's disappointing because you want the warning. You want it. This is my question to them. Do you run that exact play and all of the stuff you did if there's not a flag thrown that you think is defensive offsides? No, because that's it's a super risky play.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. It worked. But that's a type of play you may not run unless, hey, they threw the flag. It's a free one.
I don't know. That one looked a little drawn up.
It did look drawn up, but I'm saying Kelsey may have had I don't need to throw it, but there's a flag. I saw the flag come in.
Yeah, would they think free play?
Free play. If you see that flag get thrown like that, that's a free play.
I don't know. We'll see.
And so I don't know, but I'm just curious. What would you have been as freewheeling that this worked because you thought, well, worst case scenario, we get 5 yards?
Would you have literally thought to throw like a little backwards 5-yard out to Toney?
I think it was clearly designed.
Yeah.
Like it's a clearly designed play.
Right. And that's why Patrick was so pissed. He said it takes away from Travis's legendary career as a tight end. Give me a break, man.
Yeah, that was.
Come on.
I get. It sucks to someone puts a microphone in your face when you're just like right there in the full emotion of it.
That's the job.
Andy Reid has come out today and been a little bit more level-headed about it, where he still said, "I thought it should have been a warning, but I get it. We were offside." It's like you did break the rule. There was,
There was.
and I wonder if I just want to see the referee be like, dude, I was looking right at Kadarius Toney for when he turned around and go, scoot back to
Right, because Tony never looked at the ref.
never looked at it.
Never looked to double check. And I tell you, there's a lot of. I wonder how Eric Bieniemy's feeling this morning, because a lot of that team is the same pieces that went to the Super Bowl last year, except the OC.
The OC. Well,
And he never got credit for those runs.
he never. No, that's my. I think that he's done. I think what we see with Sam Howell, and we see some positives out of the Commanders. Now we know Sweat on the defensive end for the Commanders took a shot at them this week.
Oh, he did?
He came out in support of Eberflus and said, I just have to give credit to him for keeping this team together because that didn't happen in my other place.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
now, granted, they also did fire his defensive coordinator in Jack Del Rio, and so hey, look, and when Dan Snyder's run, there was, of course, no chemistry, and everything was. That's why I think Ron Rivera's done there is I think you just kind of have to wipe everything from that regime out,
Yeah.
and just be like, we have to do a hard reset here because it's just been such a bad run.
Well, I think you hold on to Bieniemy.
Well, if you can. But if I'm Bieniemy and they don't offer me the head coaching job,
I know I'm not doing this again. Yeah, y'all see what the product is when I'm not the OC for that.
let me go get that. And for everybody else who says that I can't do it,
Yeah. Oh,
And-
this is his best leverage moment by far. Out of all
Yeah.
the head coaching runs he went on, this is his best leverage moment by far.
I'm curious at the end of the season how much will this be brought up that Kansas City is struggling. And look, there's other issues, but this is kind of the thing you always end up with, which is the most painful when you lose a game like this and you feel like you got wrong. But this one, it wasn't a bad call; it was the right call. It's just normally not called. But it's the game didn't come down. Like, you should have scored more points against this Bills team.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're the Chiefs and you can't put up 20 points in a game,
What?
then that's not the Chiefs team that we all know. And Spags is doing a great job on the defense.
Absolutely. I've never been a fan of that. Well, the refs lost the game for us.
No, I'm a huge fan of it the day of.
The
The day of, I get it.
24-hour rule.
24-hour rule.
Okay.
24-hour rule, I get it. In the day of, I get it.
Heat of the moment.
Because it is. I played sports, and it is. When you get out and you're like, I did everything. And then when you go back and watch the film and you go back, you go, okay, I didn't do everything I could to win.
Well, especially football, because you have to take yourself to such a violent and emotional place
Yeah.
to play football.
One more game, and then we'll talk about the Monday night games when we come back from break. But I do want to mention the Texans and the Jets. I don't want to talk about this much.
I bet not.
It was an ugly game. It was wet and rainy and windy, and the Texans lose Nico Collins pretty early in the game, and that
that's a
just,
bummer.
after losing Tank Dell, no Dalton Schultz in that game, the offense just completely slowed down to a crawl. Damian Pierce didn't really run the ball much at all. I think he had 4 carries in the game. He wasn't doing anything. Singletary was okay, but they kept being in bad field position. Jets were able to move it at least a little. So the field position battle, Texans were constantly in their own end zone. They finally get 1 touchdown in it, missed the extra point
Yeah. God.
because their kicker's hurt. So it's a backup kicker that's kicking the ball. CJ Stroud has by far his worst game in the NFL with 91 yards, 10 of 23, a 4-yard average per throw. Is just not good. 4 sacks as well in that game. Just a really bad game for CJ Stroud, including the sack where he hits the back of his head and now in concussion protocol as well.
That looked bad.
This Texans team seems very snake bit this year. From all the the offensive line injuries early on. Then the secondary got bit up by Cashman, the linebacker who's been leading the team in tackles a lot of games. He was out in that game, got knocked out in that game.
Oh.
The injuries are just piling up for this team. I think it's something of a young staff that maybe they're not doing everything they need to be. Another reason why from the minute they've hired this staff, you kind of wish they'd brought in some more experience just to say, get what you're doing, but you may get more injuries doing this than this. And so, whatever it is, it may just be all bad luck. It may be some preparation. It may be some of training, but they look really bad. Zach Wilson looks okay in the game.
Is it just me, or is his throwing motion slowly transforming into, now not the same skill set, but that Aaron Rodgers kind of shuffle your hips right as you throw the ball throwing motion? Is anybody else noticing that? Every time he takes the field, it gets a little bit closer to that Aaron Rodgers, even on his, like a slant. He's 2 steps back, he's off balance, and he shuffles the hips forward to throw that slant in there.
I mean, he's trying to do whatever he can to stay in the game and stay in the NFL at this point.
I'm just saying, it looks like he's taking the coaching pretty clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's Nathaniel Hackett, if he's the one going after him, if it's an Aaron Rodgers guy telling him what to do,
Right.
then it may be that he is getting into that. They looked like a better team. Breece Hall looked really good in that game. They were able to use him in space and get him open. The Jets team, it's now pushing. Are they going to try and get Aaron Rodgers back this
Right.
season, or do you know, or is this not going to? It's just it was an interesting in for them, and for the Texans it was disappointing. They didn't lose any ground in the AFC South because the Jaguars and the Colts both lost.
Yep.
So they don't lose any ground in the AFC South playoff picture. So it is not the most devastating loss you could have had. If you would have lost and both those teams won, it's a much more devastating loss. Depending on how C.J. Stroud's recovery comes along this week, you'll see how bad this loss is. Nico Collins, I haven't heard. I know it was a calf injury.
Yeah.
I have not heard the updated report on how long he's going to be out. Blake Cashman, those kind of injuries to see if they come back. But yeah, if Nico Collins is out for a long time, it could be pretty devastating because now you have Robert Woods and Noah Brown.
Well, a lot of their issues yesterday were timing related. They just couldn't get the timing down.
No, and in the rain, and I know there was something, I'd watched a video of C.J. Stroud earlier where his center was sweating on the ball too much and he couldn't get a good grip on the ball. Yeah. And it was funny because you see that and you're like, oh yeah, Stroud will get a hold of a wet ball. And they're like, what are they playing in? The rain. It's like, oh, that's not a great sign, is it?
Yeah, but is it drizzling? No, it's coming down sideways.
It's coming down, and you're putting the ball down on the ground, so it's going to be wet every time. So I think that may be something. And look, he played Ohio State. He had to play in some rain games in his life. But you wanted to see him. I'm sure he's going to work on that whenever he can get back on the field and start practicing again. But not a great day for the Texans as they lose that game. But don't lose ground, so we can go on there. All right, let's hit the Patrick's Big Fat Poll. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll get into some of the Monday night games. We'll get in the in-season tournament as well. But let's hit the sounder.
Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the day on the Horn.
512-447-3776. 512-447-3776. This one, we're just going to stay in the NFL because of Dak Prescott's performance, because Brock Purdy had a decent performance, and there's a third guy who I think has the path to win MVP better than the two ahead of him.
Really?
But the path is there. He's got to do it.
Okay.
Number 3 is Lamar Jackson.
Ooh.
Lamar Jackson has a tough next 4 weeks to finish out the season. And if Lamar Jackson goes 3-4 and has some big games out of those 3 and 4 games, he's the front runner because he's a sexy NFL pick. He's the one that everybody wants to pick for NFL. No one wants to pick Brock Purdy for the NFL and for the MVP. I don't think a lot of people want to pick Dak Prescott for it because these are the writers and stuff who said that Dak Prescott was garbage for 20 years.
They would love to pick Dak Prescott. You are kidding yourself.
I think some would. I think some wouldn't.
Okay.
As well, I think some would. I think some wouldn't. I think that Lamar Jackson is a much sexier pick by a lot of people. So I think that if he has big games and plays 4 big games, gets the Baltimore Ravens into the playoffs, with home field advantage, does all this without a Mark Andrews, does all this after the whole offseason where he was going to leave and everything was over, and then comes back and gets the big contract and wins an MVP after getting the contract. That's a great story.
I think he's going to get hurt by recency bias.
He may, but I'm just saying, if you look at him, he's right now 3rd in MVP odds.
Yep.
And his next 4 games are all against playoff opponents.
Ooh.
That's what I'm saying. He has 4 playoff opponents in a row where if he can win those games, then all of a sudden, he's leading this team to the playoffs against good teams. He's playing his best football at the end of the season. And Dak Prescott's still going to be in that conversation. I think Brock Purdy's in it, but if Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott are in there at the end, it's really hard to give it to Brock Purdy when you realize it's much more about the talent around him. He's doing a great job with the talent around him, but it's Christian McCaffrey.
It is Christian McCaffrey.
It's Christian McCaffrey, and I love Deebo Samuel, but it's Christian McCaffrey.
First play from scrimmage.
It's Christian McCaffrey.
First play from scrimmage, 79 yards.
Give it Christian McCaffrey, and I'm fully on board with you. You can't give to Brock Purdy because you're like, sorry, running backs don't matter.
I'd give it to Trent Williams before Brock Purdy.
So that's to you guys. 512-447-3776. Who is your current NFL MVP? My current one is Dak Prescott.
We all know the answer.
The current one is Dak Prescott. Who I think if he can do it, it's Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I think it's just a sexier pick. I think it's a better story. I think Dak Prescott's fine because we're here in Texas, and I think Lamar Jackson, people just like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he's won one in the last 2 years, though. I think recency bias is going to bite him.
I don't know, though, but he just signed the contract. I feel like the whole offseason.
Dak's playing for an extension, though. It's the whole story leading into it. It's
we'll see. And let's hope, as football fans,
right,
that this plays out with both these guys having amazing last 4 weeks.
Oh, I can't wait.
And it becomes a decision as opposed to one of them giving it up.
Yeah. That would be, make them choose. Exactly.
So I would love to see that. But that's what I want to throw to you guys. And if you got somebody else If you've got somebody else that's not, that I didn't list, it's a lower down that you think is going to come back and blow it out in the last 4 games and get back into those odds.
Jake Browning.
I don't know if he's going to be able to get in there.
What's his number at? Give it to me.
512-447-3776. Who's your current NFL MVP? Let us know. And if you want to say who's current and who's going to win it, like I just did, throw that one in there. And if you got a reason, if you got something else, I know we've got some that Patrick don't like Patrick's take because I don't like Mike McCarthy. We'll get all that. We come back. We'll talk about the Monday Night Football games, the NBA in-season tournament, and your text messages when we get back here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Rolling in to talking about a little more NFL, a little NBA, but we are playing some music, the new musical theme of the week. Since I'm going to be hosting it on Thursday, we're going to be playing your artists from Jelly's 11th annual Christmas Jam. It's all benefiting the Austin Firefighters Relief and Outreach Fund. It's happening on Thursday evening at 3:10 at ACL Live. I hope you come out and join us. I'll be hosting tons of special guests, including this band playing, one of the three bands that is playing before the jam, the Past Lives. This is the Past Lives. They're going to be playing. You can check them out at Jelly's 11th annual Christmas Jam. It's a lot of fun every year, but it's a great cause benefiting the Austin Firefighters Relief and Outreach Fund. So, when we can do some things for charity and we can all go out and a bunch of musicians supporting a great cause, it's a lot of fun. Jelly may come on the show later this week. I may have him come on the show.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Anytime you can give back to the first responders like that, absolutely take advantage of that.
Yeah, so it's a fun thing. If you want to get your tickets, all the information is on my social medias where you can go get that, and the posters and all that stuff is up there. So you can get your tickets and come join us on Thursday. All right, that's the musical theme of the week because there's a bunch of people in the jam too, so we'll be playing artists all week long. I did want to talk a little bit about, remember the text line is open, 512-447-3776. Who is the current NFL MVP? If you want to throw in who you think is going to win it, though, you say the current NFL MVP, and this is what they're going to do, and you got a conspiracy, and you got the chart drawn out, and Brock Purdy's got a line over here, and then somehow Jalen Hurts is going to win it, even though he just got thoroughly outplayed by Dak Prescott. Put that all in there. I think C.J. Stroud may have lost it this week.
Oh, you think he's out of the running now?
I think he may be out of the running.
Damn
it. We do have, there's a couple games tonight. If you missed why the reason why they said they're doing this is because Monday night will be New Year's Day.
Okay.
There's going to be some important games, including Texas in the Sugar Bowl and the rest of the games. The rest of New Year's Day games, but Texas in the Sugar Bowl.
The rest of the football games, yeah.
And by the way, we're going to talk way more Texas starting next week, but I don't want to talk about it for 3 weeks. And then be anticlimactic when we get to the game, and it scares me too. So we're gonna talk about it for like 2 weeks.
And guess what? Texas is still playing Washington at the end of this week.
And I will make up. I'm going back and trying to go watch more Washington games this week and get a little bit more knowledge on them. But we'll be talking next week. We'll be going more into Washington, the Texas game, and getting you ready for that game. A lot of stuff we're planning for it too, for pregame and all this stuff. Getting you ready for it. We're working all on it. But that means they're gonna not have a Monday Night Football on New Year's Day, to make it the numbers up for TV, for the television contract, they're putting 2 this week. Neither one of them are great games.
You don't say.
We have the Packers at the Giants. Packers are 6-point favorites. The Packers playing a better football. The Giants are not playing terrible. DeVito is playing okay at quarterback for the Giants. This is a matchup of 2 teams that could underperform very big, or one of them could step up and do, but this is Jordan Love has finally seemed like he's starting to get a little foothold there in Green Bay. I think that the Packers are able to just have more firepower. They're not that far off from being a better team.
Yeah, they just beat the Chiefs last week.
Which everybody's beating the Chiefs now, aren't they?
That win looks less and less impressive, doesn't it?
But I think the Packers can win this game. It'll be interesting to see. You may want to tune in to see, if this Packers team is for real. If you've not watched the Packers at all this season, it's an interesting little thing to see Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers and how this team is coming through later in the season. This is a fringe playoff team for the Packers now. They're not out of it because they keep winning games here at the end of getting closer to the end of the season. Your other game is going to be the Titans at the Dolphins. Will Levis is the starting quarterback for the Titans now. He had a really, really hot start, and everybody was like, oh, man, another rookie quarterback in there. He's thrown 3 touchdowns in those last 5 games. It has slowed down considerably for them. The Miami Dolphins are 13.5-point favorites in this game.
So I'll also include this. Their pass defense, they held Sam Howell last week to 127 yards total, and he was the leading passer coming into that game.
Yeah. So this will be a game where the Dolphins look to put up a lot of points against the Titans.
In a hurry.
And the Titans don't have a great pass defense. And there's a guy on that team called Tyreek Hill who seems to be blowing away everybody.
Oh, is he pretty good?
He seems to be pretty good this season. I'm not, it is what it is with Tyreek Hill, but he seems like he's going to be doing pretty well. So this game is a 13.5-point game. That does not bode well, but who knows?
How do you feel about that number? Which way would you go?
I say the Dolphins cover, but
I think so too.
I think this Titans team is kind of, this is probably, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the Mike Vrabel era in Tennessee, and I like Mike Vrabel. I think he's a good coach. But there's always that point where it's hard to, if you're going backwards, where he was just kind of winning, even though it's, how long do you go until you say, okay, we just need a culture change. We just got to change up what things are doing. I think he's a really good coach. I'd rather him, go to another position or do something else before it gets to really, really bad for him, because I do think he's a good coach.
Might end up ruining his image if he sticks around too much longer.
Yeah. But what are you going to do when you trade away AJ Brown for not enough, and then draft another guy who's not as good as AJ Brown?
And you're starting a college receiver at quarterback. It's all it was all genius moves.
It was all genius moves.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. But the Dolphins are looking really good. They're fighting for that number 1 spot in the AFC in the bye week. So this is a big game for the Dolphins. I don't know how much it is for the Titans.
I do worry about time of possession. I think that's going to be the Titans' MO, is trying to dominate time of possession.
Yeah.
So as far as covering that 13.5, I'd be worried about a backdoor cover, because I don't know if there's going to be enough time for the Dolphins to pull away far enough to get some insurance against that.
I feel the Dolphins can score in 8 seconds.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I'm not
yeah.
as worried about it.
Fair enough.
As I think they can score easily. So even if you give them time of possession 5 to 55, they could still cover.
They scored 5 times.
They can still score 5 times in this game. So I don't know. It's 2 touchdowns. If it was 14.5, it would be a little bit more. But 2 touchdowns, I think they can cover pretty easily. But we'll see. We will see tonight. Both those games at 7:15 should tell you that they don't really have high hopes for either, because they did not try to stagger them. They didn't try and put one early and one late.
So I know you'll have both of them on. Which one are you watching with the sound on?
I'd be watching the Titans-Dolphins most likely.
Okay.
Just because the Dolphins at least will be entertaining.
Right.
Like, they will have entertaining plays.
You might get a Mike McDaniel sound cut.
Yeah, I might get one, yes. Actually, I'll probably have both of them with sound off and listening to something else. That'll probably be what actually ends up happening. The NBA in-season tournament ended this weekend with the Lakers getting a win, 123 to 109 over the Indiana Pacers. AD played like a man in this game.
Yeah, he did.
He was 16 to 24, 41 points, 20 rebounds. LeBron James adds another 24 points and 11 rebounds. To give you how much domination there was in the paint from the big guys and just pushing around whoever they wanted in there, LeBron and AD combined for 31 rebounds. The Pacers had 32 rebounds.
Total?
Oh. They were out-rebounded 55 to 32 in the rebounds, Lakers to Pacers. LeBron and AD almost tied them in rebounds.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a crazy stat. And then if you want to throw in, well, the Pacers didn't shoot threes well. Okay, well, that's okay. The Pacers did not shoot. They shot 24% from 3 in that game.
That's not great.
The Lakers shot 15% from 3 in that game.
That's not
They just
great.
dominated in the paint. And it was a Lakers where if you see AD, and this is why as much as everybody hates Anthony Davis and that he doesn't show up in big games and that he, street clothes Davis and all of that stuff, when he plays at the level he can play at in the post, there's not a lot of guys who can do that. And for whatever reason, he doesn't always do it. He did it in the bubble. He did it in Vegas. Maybe he doesn't do it when there's a crowd that is either rooting for him or against him. But if it's a neutral crowd, he's okay.
I can't figure out what it is, because like you said, the question has never been potential with AD.
Yeah.
It's consistency and availability. And I don't understand what it is either. I always call him the tallest shooting guard in the league because he loves hanging out at the 3-point line, but he's 7 foot tall. I need you to go bang in the paint and get some rebounds.
20 rebounds.
Yeah.
20 rebounds.
He's 41 and 20.
Yeah, just a great line. Halliburton did have a good game, though. He had 20 points, 11 assists. He tried to do it. The Pacers just didn't play a great game. He does make the all in-season tournament team, so he's in good company there with Kevin Durant and LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Ooh,
and Giannis.
Yay.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're going to say Halliburton to elevate himself into that level of MVP caliber players,
Sure.
it's nice because that's the thing is everyone else is Kevin Durant and Giannis and LeBron and
That's
AD.
not bad names to be next to.
Yeah, so if you're in that group, then you were in one of the best players. LeBron wins the MVP. We knew he wanted to. We knew it seemed early on that this was a thing that he really, really wanted.
5 championships for LeBron. I'm just telling everybody right now, 5 championships for LeBron. Get used to it.
Hey, he is 1-0. He's 100% in-season tournament championship games.
Hey, the in-season tournament winners also have never lost a playoff game in the same season. So
They
get
have
ready.
not. No.
Yeah.
And he is one. I don't even think Michael Jordan ever competed for one.
I don't think so either. He
Yeah.
never even made it to the finals or the semis.
Never even made it to Vegas.
Wow. They
Well,
didn't even qualify?
Actually, Michael
Wow.
Jordan made it to Vegas a bunch of times.
Well, he was on a retrieval mission. He had to go get what's his name?
He had to go get Rodman.
Rodman. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Michael Jordan lived. That guy might have a gambling problem. But all right, so Jacob, we see it. I know you're happy because the Lakers get the win. but this is kind of the question if we go through it. You know, this was at the beginning of the season. I didn't understand what was going to be happening with it. I don't have a lot of faith in it. I think it was successful in what it was. They made you care enough about it. I think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed going into this year too. Let's get rid of the courts. I think everyone can agree, get rid of those courts. And you maybe do a different court, but
Just
way
redo
more
them.
understated.
Yeah.
Way more understated. We don't need the colors in there and all of that. So get rid of that. I think the 2 games, one it's starting at 4 p.m., that was not a great look because it made the semifinals seem not as important. So the finals seemed important. The first round game seemed important, and the semifinals didn't seem important at all.
Yeah, because you put them at a weird time and on a weird day. It didn't work out.
It didn't, and it made the viewership was up on those Tuesday and Friday games as well as people were watching to see those in-season tournament games. I think it was a success.
My question is, what would you consider a success? Like, what was the goal? If the goal
They
was to
raised
get
ratings.
the goal was to get me, to the casual NBA fan, to pay attention to basketball before the All-Star break, like you talked about.
Before
then
Christmas, yeah.
Before Christmas, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I was all the way in on that.
That's what I think they were trying to do. They and look, I think they've done enough of it. I think it could be better, and hopefully it'll continue to grow. I think the fact that LeBron won the first one in Lakers is a good thing. I know there's LeBron haters, but I can tell you in 10 years you won't be LeBron haters. In 10 years, you'll be hating whoever else the kid is who's playing really good basketball because LeBron won't be in the league anymore.
I don't know. His haters are very.
I get it. No, look, there's always going to be haters, but I think there's going to be more people that hate who's ever playing well then. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it just kind of dissipates throughout time a little bit. And, it won't be that. And it'll become more of, you're going to win the LeBron James in-season tournament MVP award.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
And it'll be the thing of like, oh, no, he made it matter. So I think there's good. They got the stars to play in the games. That's another thing you wanted to see. They were trying to get stars to continue to play and care about these games. They got that done. I think it was a success. I think the fact that no one expected anything of it, like as much as they tried to make it important, no one really expected it to matter. So the fact that it did matter a little meant that it was a success.
Well, it's like you said, if their only goal was to improve ratings, right? Whether you liked it or you hated it, you watched it.
Yeah.
And so mission accomplished. But
Yeah.
please, for the love of God, when it comes to those courts, let's get a focus group going and please test them out. Make sure we don't have any clashing jersey issues.
Yeah, let's just those courts are awful. All right, but it was good. It's good. There's a couple NBA games tonight. We'll try and throw those in the 6 o'clock hour when we talk some NCAA, some NCAA football, some NCAA basketball. We may throw in a little bit more NBA as the Spurs take on the Rockets tonight. The Mavs take on the Grizzlies. We may talk about that when we get into it, but we need to take a break and get to your text messages. 512-447-3776. We're asking you, who is your current NFL MVP? If you got one that's current, and if you got who's gonna win, if you got anything else, send those takes in on the text line 512-447-3776. We're gonna get to those when we come back. Anything else you want to talk about? You got some Texas football news you want to talk about? We're gonna get into the winners, the award winners in the NCAA football over the weekend. Tavondre Sweat takes another award home, a big one now. We'll get into all that. We get talking in the 6 o'clock hour. We'll come back. Your text messages, 512-447-3776, right here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Played music from Jelly's 11th annual Christmas Jam happening this Thursday at 310 at ACL Live, benefiting the Austin Firefighters Relief and Outreach Fund. This is CC. CC is going to be part of the jam happening where a bunch of artists are coming up and playing with Jelly and other guests. It's going to be a lot of fun happening. I will be hosting the event, but a great chance to go see some great music and support some music live around town. All right, text lines up with 512-447-3776. Guys, send in. We're asking you, who is the current NFL MVP? If you got any other takes on that, send those in as well. And if anything else you want to talk about, you guys drive the show, and we just try to keep it on the rails. We're going to hit a few of these before we hit the top of the hour. Then we're going to come back, answer some more text. We will get into the college basketball awards, or college football awards, college basketball played. There's some NBA, more and more stuff we're going to try and get to on a Monday show. We just had to recap that Cowboys game. The Cowboys game, I know Jacob's coming in his Cowboys gear. He's ready to go for some more Cowboys talk at all times.
I tried to dial it back for you guys. I tried to hold back a little bit because I almost went full-on Cowboy diehard for the first 30 minutes of the show, and then I remembered it's Patrick's name on the show.
It is fine. Yeah, no. He just wants to. In the breaks, he won't shut up about it. Texter says, and the surprise of no one, NBA haters are going to drowning out their own haterade. The in-season tournament is a hoax. It's all a scam to get LeBron more hardware. Adam Silver isn't real. I believe this is a person who is very much is pro LeBron.
I have an update on that.
You have an update?
Yeah, the Lakers are going to be hanging a banner in the rafters for their NBA in-season
I don't like
tournament.
that. I don't like that one bit. But
it just came through on ESPN.
I don't like that one bit because it's the Lakers. Like that seems like a.
It's not like you're hurting for banners in that.
Yeah,
stadium.
If Indiana won it, totally get it. If the Thunder won it, totally get it. Like I don't even like if the Spurs were to do that.
They said not to worry; it will not distract the team from their ultimate goal of winning an NBA championship.
I make it bigger than the tournament champion. Make it
Twice the size.
Yeah, the bigger one. Make it bigger than the other banners.
And put LeBron on the banner. And
put Austin Reeves on it. I don't know. No, I don't like the banner thing. But look, I get it. You could put I don't know. I'd celebrate somehow, but I wouldn't.
I don't know if I'd drop a banner.
No. And if I do, I'm definitely not doing it as a promotional show.
You got a trophy for it. Just put the trophy up in the stadium somewhere.
If you win 5 of them, then you can make a poster, a banner that's 5 times.
5 times. Yeah.
So if you do this is the one banner you get for in-season tournaments.
Oh, so are they going to start another tournament here in the next few years that lasts from now until the All-Star break?
The Lakers senior team?
Yeah, probably.
They're going to make the Lakers senior team so LeBron can get some more titles in there?
Yeah.
I'm just making. No, look, it's funny because we can see what he can do when he wants to be the guy, and he wanted to be the guy. He wanted to get this award, and he wanted to do it, and he went out there and did it. It's amazing at his age he can still do that.
I don't think it matters how LeBron played. I really don't. I think it more comes down to AD.
No, I agree. But let's put it this way. LeBron, up until the last game, he was the guy. And then AD showed up in the championship game and blew everybody out, and it wasn't close.
That's fair. He was playing 40 minutes before those.
Yeah. So I just, it's a thing where you see this Lakers team, and if they're driven and they want to go, they want to be in it, and they were the most driven team, and congrats to them. But yeah, I don't think, look, the whole GOAT debate and all that stuff, it's, if Michael Jordan had the same scrutiny that LeBron James has on him now, if people cared that much about, if Michael Jordan had to do interviews constantly, was constantly on TV like LeBron was, you guys would hate Michael Jordan too. The reality is there's just so much more spotlight that you get sick of everybody now.
Yeah, because once
everybody's on your TV constantly.
Once we got a 10-episode documentary of the behind the scenes of Michael Jordan, then people started to open their eyes a little bit. You get a little bit more in-depth coverage.
Anybody that you have that much on,
right.
It gets crazier. Texter says, I like how Patrick is simultaneously not giving Mike McCarthy credit while proving why Mike McCarthy has made things better.
Do it. Give him credit, Patrick, right now.
I will give Mike McCarthy credit that things are better because of his lack of action.
Come on. Come on.
I won't. I will not give him credit.
You've seen that size of that play sheet he's holding. What do you think's on the other side of that? Just nothing?
iHub menu.
So who's he talking to? You think his headset just feeds to nobody?
I think he is trying to make a dinner decision. We've seen how slow he makes decisions. And he is trying to make a decision the entire game.
Come on.
And there's just a sad waiter on the other end of it. So you're sure that Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity? And he's like, does that come with chocolate chips? And they're like, no, it doesn't. Well, I don't know then.
Well, can I add chocolate chips?
Guys, I get Mike McCarthy's not the worst coach. I do speak in hyperbole a lot. But I also do not think that Mike McCarthy is one of the best 15 coaches in the NFL. I think there's a lot of guys who could have done a better job with this Cowboys team. He's doing all right now. And if whatever he did to get Dak Prescott to play like this, good on him.
Yeah, I'll take it, man. I fully believe Dak Prescott's going to win the MVP right now, and as a Cowboy fan, that makes me happy. Truly enjoy.
I
that.
mean, it's nice to win some hardware.
It is. That's why we're going to hang a banner.
Yeah, you put a banner because you
We're
ain't
gonna-
winning nothing else.
We're going to put a banner in Cowboy Stadium that we beat the Eagles on December 10th.
The NFL in-season tournament.
The NFL in-division rivalry game
The
banner.
The NFC West. Yes, we'll get that. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we will hit on the NCAA awards, the football awards, the show that they still are doing without in person. They're
That's
doing
so
that.
bizarre.
But Vondre Sweat gets another big award. We'll get into all that. Some more All-American honors happen as well. The Heisman Trophy was given out, and there's some way too early Heisman Trophy odds. Texas basketball. We'll get to maybe some Spurs and Rockets and Mavs too. All that coming up. An hour or two of the Sports Complex here on the Horn 101.9 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Hour 2 of the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Still going to your text messages. 512-447-3776. Who's your current NFL MVP? If you got any more talk about that, send whatever you got to talk about on the text line. We're also going to get into the Heisman Trophy was given out. Some more NFL college awards, or NCAA football college awards were given out. There's some new Heisman odds that are out there as well now. We also got a weird award that I just want to mention something about an award. I'm going to get into that.
All right.
And then Texas basketball had a game over the weekend beating Houston Christian. We'll get to all of that stuff. Plus, more and more of your texts. We always get to more and more of your texts. We may talk some more NBA as well, depending on how we get through this and how much you guys want to talk about on the show. You know, if you guys want to talk about on the text line, we'll talk about it. That's what we like to do here on the Sports Complex. Texter, we'll get back to text line right now. Riley P says, Mahomes and Milano should have given them some insurance points. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. I know that I like the commercial. But I'm not sure the insurance points they needed. But I like it, Riley. I like it. I like you're going out. I prefer Travis Kelce's see how much you can save when you switch. I like that one better. But I'm a Travis Kelce guy, you know, because I'm a big Taylor. I'm a Swiftie.
Really? What's your favorite song?
That one she sings.
Which one?
The one about her ex.
Which one?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think the last song played should be the new theme song. I'll tell the past lives when I see him on Thursday at Jelly's 11th annual Christmas Jam.
It's a big compliment.
With all the complaints, I'd say refs are MVP. They seem to be handing teams L's.
I like that.
I like that one. Look again. That was a blatant offsides.
He was offsides.
I get the warning and all that other stuff, but this is what happens when coaches continue to try and break rules and be like, let's see how far we can push this rule to try and get a competitive advantage. And then the refs committee goes, hey, we got to really watch for offsides because people are really trying to line up offsides now because they want a competitive advantage. And with analytics, like you can look at, well, if you line up, 2 inches back from the line of scrimmage, your odds of getting to the quarterback are 40% less. But if you line up 2 inches over, they're like 40% better. So you should line up offsides as much as you can and get away with it and just look at the line judge. And Kadarius Toney just forgot to look at the line judge.
So if Kadarius Toney can't get lined up on side, why not just before every snap have him in that little bubble motion? And that way he can get into whatever route he needs to. He's in the backfield. You can't call him for offsides.
I mean, I would say get one of your offensive linemen who's not doing a ton of reads, like one of your guys that just got to be there, and just be like, hey, left guard, look to your left.
Where's Toney?
If Toney is ahead of you, be like, hey, Toney, you suck at football. And he'll be like, I'll step back.
Is that the call sign for it?
Something to get his attention. But I get somebody else on that team to be like, look, we just need Kadarius Toney insurance, and we need somebody to stand out there and just be like, hey, man, remember how we learned how to do this at some point? And you're looking at the ball.
Staring at it. How do you not realize you're in front of it?
And I'm sure he thought to himself, well, I'd check over there with the side ump, but I have to turn my head all the way because I'm looking behind me at the ball.
He'll give it to me. He'll give it to me. He was already thinking about touchdowns.
Blind Longhorn fan says Christian McCaffrey is their MVP. I think he should win. He's not on the odds right now. He's what, like?
I think it was like plus 25,000.
Yeah, he's way up there. People do not want to give it to him. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. Is they don't value running backs whatsoever in any form now. I've ranted about that the other day, that I think that's a big detriment to football right now, is that you don't want to have the running game because the people who use it well are winning. They're doing well, but then they still, for whatever reason, no one wants to get into that.
First play from scrimmage, CMC for 79 yards. Just saying.
Another text says, will the Spurs win a game before the new year? Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I like that texter.
I know, and we talked about this. I was telling Jake before the show that I'm right on that edge now. Like, just lose out and get number one pick again. Let's do it again, and we'll be good. Just right on that edge of how bad this team looks right now. But we've
almost broke him. We are almost there. He's almost.
I don't want
it.
They shouldn't do that, but part of me wants them to. This texter says, what are the rules regarding the NCAA 2000 COVID season not counting against eligibility? Does that mean almost all starters could return if they really wanted to come back? I think Chris Jones and T. Sweat, maybe Jay Witt are the only super seniors currently on the roster. A lot of them could. But a lot of them won't because they have no desire to. But yes, a lot of people could come back for that COVID year. We know, certain people have done it already. But yeah, if they have not used it yet, if they have not claimed it on on the record. And some of these guys have claimed it, and they're juniors, but they're really seniors. And so they've taken kind of the redshirt. So there's points where you could still take that COVID year, as far as I know. But I don't expect a lot of them to do it.
I figure everybody can just play 10 years in college now. Did you see the Heisman ceremony? We had 4 guys up there that were, 6+ years, 5+ years?
Yeah. No, and those guys are, we see that. We know, Bo Nix has played, since Jacob.
Bo Nix has had 2 different college football careers.
He has. We get this texter that says the tip of the toe was at or past the football. He was way past the neutral zone edge. Yes, I'm with you. It was a penalty. And we'll get into Chan that says, so we agree that Kellen Moore was the issue then, not maximizing and playing to Dak's strengths. I don't know if he was the full issue. I don't think he was a full issue. I think he was an issue.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I think it's more of what you were saying, where Kellen Moore was saying the offense goes like this. It is designed like this.
Whereas, I think there's part of it where it's not. I don't know if there was ever a point. It seems to me that Dak Prescott is, making his own decisions a bit more now than kind of where it seemed like he was always looking. The footwork part is something big. He's big into that now, but it feels like Dak Prescott is now being able to make the right decisions on matchups and spread the ball around a lot better. And they didn't seem to spread the ball around a lot more before.
Yeah, and when they had their interview with Collinsworth, the media availability beforehand, Collinsworth said Dak told him he doesn't know how any quarterbacks play football without this footwork that they've been working on, where it's 1-2, hit the guy, or duck out and run. And so obviously it's made a huge difference.
It has made, and I mean, that's part of, when you do anything and you find a way that works for you and you go, I don't know how to make it. We go, it's different for everybody. And that's why coaching is so hard, is because if everybody reacted to the same things and if everybody could use the same methods to, learn how to read defenses or do whatever, then everybody, it'd be a lot easier to be a head coach. The really hard part about being a good coach is that you have to go into people with different mindsets and different ways of learning and figure out how to get all of them on the same page and go, okay, well, I tried this to reach them and it didn't work. And I tried this and it didn't work. So I think there's more to that, where Kellen Moore, young in his coaching career, kind of came straight from being a player, and he did what he thought, and he did this is how I learned. So this is how I'm going to teach you. And it never seemed to really cross over to make Dak Prescott be able to take that next step.
Well, it's kind of like at your job, right? There's 2 styles of management for your boss. Your boss can either tell you how things are done, or your boss can give you guidelines and let you become empowered on the project, right? It becomes your project. And so I think that's more of what Dak's dealing with.
And we also get Jacob, your Dallas Cowboys, slow clap deserved, total domination, well-deserved win. But do we need to see so much of Jerry Jones?
Probably not. Probably don't need Jerry on the TV so much, but you're going to get it. And especially if they keep on this tear. Oh, can you imagine if the Cowboys did do the unthinkable and make it to the Super Bowl? 2 straight weeks of Jerry Jones on TV.
Oh, he's going to take Jimmy Johnson out of the Ring of Honor. I knew we didn't need you to win.
I knew we didn't need you.
It is crazy that he agreed to put him in, and now they're playing really good football.
I love it.
Like the curse, it was a real curse.
The curse is lifted. I tweeted out as soon as he announced that Jimmy Johnson was going in. The curse is lifted. Look out, because the Cowboys are here, and we're about to put the league on notice.
Lorenzo says, do you think we lose Malik if Quinn Ewers comes back? We still don't know Quinn Ewers' decision. We don't know a lot of guys' decisions. It's going to matter what they do on New Year's Day. It's going to matter what happens after that, because I can tell you right now, the general opinion of Quinn Ewers will change a lot. If he throws for 300 yards and no interceptions in 2 straight weeks and wins the Oklahoma, beats Texas Tech by a landslide, beats the crap out of Oklahoma State, goes in and beats the crap out of Washington, and if he wins a national championship, that's a real big different discussion about Quinn Ewers than we were talking about 5, 6 weeks ago when he said, well, he's probably going to come back when he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't think your stock gets any higher than that.
And so it's, well, could he be in the Heisman? We'll talk about that in a minute, but at the same point, he may say, okay, well, my stock's up there. I did what I came here to do.
Right. This was always the plan. Always the plan.
But if they go to Washington, they do struggle against that Washington team, which we're hoping doesn't happen. But if he does, well, then it's much more likely he comes back, because he says, okay, we got, my work here is not done. We want to come back and run it back. We feel like we can be a better team next year. We can go after things.
And it's a less crowded class.
And then I don't think they will have all 3 quarterbacks. And I think Arch is staying. So that depends on where Quinn Ewers is the real answer to that question of Blake Murphy's. I don't think all 3 of them stay. And I think Arch is staying.
Yeah, but you won't hear anything from Malik until after they're done playing because he wants the opportunity for audition tape if there is an opportunity for him to play in the playoffs.
No, and I agree. And the fact that he hasn't gone, the fact that he didn't go in already last year and he hasn't gone in already this year, I think he wants to play for Texas. I think he wants to play for Sark. I don't, look, we talked about Dabo Swinney saying there was tampering. We know that people were calling Malik Murphy and his coaches said, look, man, you've got offers.
I heard they offered him $50 million. That was the latest report I saw, is they offered him $50 million.
No, but the reality is they offer him a starting job.
Yeah, probably.
At a school. Like, he was going to compete for the starting job at Alabama if he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably go out west if I had to guess.
That would be my guess, especially now that they're in the Big Ten.
Right.
You can play different games. So, but that would be my guess as well, that, USC is going to be looking for a quarterback.
He wants to be closer to home.
So that would be my guess, but who knows? Who knows? We won't know until hopefully December 1st. We've got another game, and we'll delay that decision even more.
January 1st.
January 1st. Sorry.
There you go.
I don't know months. This texter says Mahomes is now getting to see how Brady played for every year without Moss. Yeah, I mean, kind of, but I think there's probably. And look.
Well, no, because how many no names did Brady bring to the top? You know what I mean? How many, like Chris Hogan? When was the last time you heard Chris Hogan outside of when Brady was throwing?
I get it, but he had Edelman and he had Wes Welker.
Not at the same times.
No, but I'm saying he had a guy, and then he had Gronk. So he basically always had a really good tight end, which is what Patrick Mahomes had, and he had one other guy, which is what Patrick Mahomes had. He had one other guy.
Right, Tyreek.
And now he has 0 receivers who can catch a ball. He's still putting the money there. The Patriots wide receivers could get a ball. This is why I don't think it's – because the difference is the Kansas City Chiefs drafted a bunch of guys who get separation but can't catch. And the Patriots drafted a bunch of guys who couldn't get separation but could catch.
Because Brady's going to put it in a keyhole.
And he's going to put – so they trusted Brady to get the ball there and put it in the right spots. And now they're getting it to give Mahomes more room. But the problem is they can't catch the ball when it's put there. So it's kind of a different synopsis. I get what you're saying. But I think that it's not quite the same thing. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I get it.
Yeah, and I did see a tweet this weekend where someone had tweeted a picture of X-Man and said, Chiefs, may I present to you an elite number 1 receiver? And it made me a little happy just thinking about the probability of him going there. That would make me so happy.
It would. It would make me happy, too, to see him go and get, be able to play at that level.
And the things they could do together.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Get separation and He falls in that line. Now, I know he's dropped a ball or two, which may,
He had a broken hand.
I know, but PTSD for those Chiefs fans. They may want the most sure-handed receiver that's out there. Like, well, he's 270. He ain't that fast. I don't care. Can he catch?
How much glue can we put in his gloves?
I mean, Tavondre Sweat is 1 for 1 on touchdown passes.
He sure is.
So maybe they'll go with him.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
100% completion rate.
Talk about a red zone threat.
Drake May just declared for the draft. He did. He also said he's foregoing the bowl game. I think we all knew he was declaring for the draft, but we knew he said he was foregoing the bowl game. But yes, he did just do that. Mac Brown is going to have to deal with that. A lot of teams are. These bowl games do not matter to a lot of these players.
I hate this.
It's bad, but this is why they're expanding the playoffs, because more guys will stay into it if they're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I get it. Look, I understand it completely, because at a certain point, if the NIL money's enough, then I'll stay for that game.
Oh, business-wise, I get it. It makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
I just hate it as a fan.
I hate it as a fan too, but it was, and we'll have this discussion next week or maybe later this week, and we can ask as a poll question later this week of do bowl games matter? Because I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and that's the reality. But there is the other side where people still want them to matter, and how do you make them matter? And it's just a hard question.
Yeah.
We do have this. We can get into the Shohei Ohtani news in the 6th. That new news is crazy.
That's insane if that's actually how his contract is structured.
That's what it says from reputable people. We'll talk about that when we get into the the next segment. The next segment we'll get into some Shohei Ohtani new as well. And does Brock Cunningham have any years of eligibility with the football team less since basketball is used up? Love that guy.
Does it work that way?
Do not believe that's how it works. Because otherwise he'd be on, he would stay at Texas. I do like he said in some of the things, like, I kind of have to move on. Like, he seems like a kid who's lived with his parents for too long now. And he's like, I'm getting a little too comfortable.
He's like, I've been the king here for a while.
Yeah.
For a while.
It's time for me to move on. So it's nice to see. But yeah, Brock Cunningham is the best. We all know he's a glue guy.
What happened is the freshman started making references he finally doesn't understand. And he was like, oh no, I've been here too long.
Mahomes born on 3rd always cheats the game, especially on his sideline move. Some hate there on
Come
Mahomes.
on.
I don't dislike Mahomes.
What is that about?
When Mahomes made a fool of himself with that rain having to be held back, refs made the right call, not a professional. Look, no, and I get it. Look, I fully get that because I get in the heat of the game. You want guys that are passionate and competitive. That's one of the reasons Mahomes is because he's super competitive. When he played at Tech, one of the things they would show is that he would be fighting in games where they're down 40 points. It's just who he is. He's going to continue to compete, and that's what it was. I get it. I've yelled at refs in games that mattered much, much less than that did.
Really?
And I have yelled at refs in rec league games. I have yelled at refs.
There you go.
And had to be held back.
Called it the worst call ever, and just
Oh yeah, everything. It just because you're in the moment, and when you walk away, I did not need the 24-hour rule to realize I was an idiot. By the way,
it took you about 5 minutes. You went,
Yeah.
"Hey man, my bad."
no,
Hey.
no. When I was in the car and you're like that, and you're like as you're saying it out loud, you're like, okay, maybe I want a little.
You're
fart.
replaying it in the head, trying to get the highlights, and you're going, "Oh, this is just bad. This is just bad."
Scarlett says Brady won 3 wings with Troy Brown as his wide receiver. Who? Troy? I know who Troy Brown is. Who? And let us not forget Julian Edelman was a 7th round pick that Brady turned into a Super Bowl champ. I get it. I get you want to tell the narrative, and the Brady narrative is that the Patriots would have been the worst team in the league, and that every one of those guys doesn't belong in the NFL, and that Tom Brady is the greatest man to ever walk the earth. I don't personally believe that.
Look at him now.
I think he's a very good quarterback. He's probably the greatest football player to ever live. I'll still give him that credit,
Look-
but I'm not going to kiss his butt day and night because I don't think he's a good person. I'm not appreciative of him being a hypocrite in a lot of things and kind of spinning the narrative. So I just don't like him as much. I like Patrick Mahomes much more than I like him.
What is he a hypocrite on?
Basically, all his opinions about football.
You mean the rules that were named after
The
him,
rules
and,
that
and
were-
now we can't play football anymore? Apparently,
Yeah,
'Cause,
that stuff. It just annoys me with it. But I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't like him also because he beat every team for a long time. And they own the Texans. And then the Texans tried to beat him and it destroyed the Texans. So I'm not a huge fan of him for a lot of reasons. It doesn't matter. He wouldn't like me either. We're good to go.
I think Tom Brady's a sweet boy because the Cowboys retired him. Cowboys retired him. Told him,
Cowboys
go home,
retired him.
get out of here.
No, I will. He's the greatest. We can say that. I'm not trying to be impartial of that. But yeah, I'm not going to say that, I don't know why we have to have these greatest debates that don't matter. Patrick Mahomes isn't the greatest of all time. We know he's not there yet. He's still young in his career. He's got a long way to go.
Oh yeah, there's still a lot to be seen.
So there's not a debate on that. I don't think there should be. But if we want to say that Tom Brady did more with less than Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl last year without wide receiver.
He did. But,
He had a tight end. He had a really great tight end.
well, that's what makes this year so alarming for him. It's mostly the same cast.
It's mostly the same cast. Yeah. I do want to mention some things. Jaden Daniels did win the Heisman Trophy. Are you good with that pick?
Oh, that's fine with me. Dude had 50 touchdowns, 40 through the air, and 10 rushing. I mean,
Yeah, I think-
he was the most explosive weapon in college football week in and week out.
This one I would have given it to Michael Penix Jr. just because I do like the
I wish they
value of a
would've.
player. I would have given it to him personally. I just think it's, I get the stats were there, but you can't. They lost to Florida State, and so I wouldn't have given it to him. But
Why is that a bit of a controversy?
it might have been a controversy.
Okay.
But no, I get it. The stats are there. I think he played a great season. They would have been a much worse team without him. But I think Washington is a 5 or 6 loss team without Michael Penix Jr.
That's fair.
But maybe a 4 loss team. Like they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'd have been okay with that because I want that extra little nudge too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the Heisman winner's over there, huh?
And Tavondre Sweat did win the Outland Trophy as well.
Good for that. Dude.
Very good to see him get that award. I mean, when one of the other award nominees is a lineman for K-State, an offensive lineman, and you were able to beat K-State, then give it to Winnie. Head-to-head. We've said it with Alabama. Head-to-head.
Sark pointed at when they asked him a couple weeks ago what the best play of the season was, and it was that goal line stand against K-State where
Yeah.
Tavondre Sweat busts through the line, swats the pass down. Yeah, that dude's a monster.
And then we also should note there's a weird one. You know what? I'll talk about this tomorrow because we don't have the time on a Monday, but I'll talk about the Disney Spirit Award tomorrow. Let's
Okay.
remind me to talk about the Disney Spirit Award. It was a weird award on the award show. It was something weird about it. But I'll talk about it tomorrow when we have a little bit more time. Texas did get the win over Houston Christian. They did drop in the AP poll down to 19 after that loss to Marquette that did not look good at all. It was kind of a spread around scoring. Max Asmus leads the way with 16 points. Caden Shedrick had 15 points. They had a slow. They got off to a good start, and then all of a sudden, Houston Christian came back. They went on a 19-0 run to end the half. It never really looked back in that game. They probably should have won by a few more points. We were laughing that Rodney Terry is not a guy to put in the walk-ons at any point in these games. He did not unload the bench at any point.
Oh no.
So I think he wasn't thrilled with a lot of things that were happening. This team did end up with 9 turnovers. They had 8 turnovers in the first half when they were up by 1. They had 8 turnovers. They had 7 or 8. So they had 1 or 2 in the entire rest of the game.
That's good. That means Rodney Terry had the boys playing with some intensity after losing.
He was able to get them going back. Texas was able to dominate in the points in the paint. But the second chance points is where you need to get picked up. Houston Christian had 16 second chance points to Texas 4. Those are some of the reasons when you're going the offensive rebounds, you can't let them get 16 offensive rebounds on you. You have to be stronger in the post. It's going to help when you get Dylan DeSue back, but you should have been out rebounding them because you're just a bigger team. I'd still like to see Dylan Mitchell try to get to the free throw line a little bit more. He got 4 free throws, went 3 or 4 in that, but I would have liked to seen him go a little bit more. And the three-point shooting is still a problem for Texas. They're going to have to figure it out. These zone defenses are continuing to pop up. I think everyone's going to play zone against them the rest of the season because it works so well. That offense slows down to a crawl with a zone defense. You either got to shoot threes or get to the paint, one or the other, and they don't seem to be doing either. And you can't go in the post. The inside-out game they've been doing with Shedrick that was working so well in the zone, you're able to help off of it, and you got to be able to hit that three. When he kicks that ball back out, you got to be able to hit that three. They haven't been able to. They went 6 for 21 in that game, which is just not good enough to win a lot of games once you get into the Big 12 conference play.
Give me a call, Rodney. I got eligibility left. I can knock down the open 3. Just making my pitch right here, right now.
I think you need to play defense too.
Oh, well, we can't just sub me out in between those.
You can't. You're not even going to move off the court. I can't run or nothing. But you want to see those numbers get better. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will get into the Ohtani news. The Shohei Ohtani news came down. I also want to get into if we talk a little bit more NBA and about the Spurs-Rockets game tonight, because it is a big game for some people. Rockets fans, this is one where you can really stick it to the Spurs fans. And I know you enjoy doing that. It's been a long time since you were the better team. So we'll see. We'll talk about that when we come back here. And more of your text, 512-447-3776, here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn, playing music all week long from Jelly's 11th annual Christmas Jam, benefiting the Austin Firefighters Relief and Outreach Fund. It's happening this Thursday, 3:10 at ACL Live. I'll be hosting lots of great artists on the bill, including in the jam, Jake Andrews, one of the best guitar players in town for a long time here in Austin, Jake Andrews. So hope you come out and check that out with us. He's been on the jam multiple times. Always a fun part of the jam to get some guitar jamming. Jelly's one of the best guitar players, so he brings some of the other best guitar players, and they shred, and it's a lot of fun to see like 2 or 3 of the best guitar players in Austin all on stage together.
I can imagine.
It's a good thing. It's one of those things when you live in Austin, you get to see there's so many, and then when you can put them all on one stage together, it just becomes really special. There's been some special moments in the years past. Text line still open. 512-447-3776 is the text line number. If you want to put in there, we want to talk a little bit. This texter does bring it up. To understand the structure of the Shohei Ohtani contract, you have to understand the tax laws in California follow the money. If he's getting paid in the years after he retires or not living in California and lives on a low tax state like Texas, it may increase his contractual earnings by 10 to 15% over the life of the contract. I don't think he's going to move to Texas.
I doubt that. Very
Something
heavily.
tells me. I think that's part of it. But all right. So if you've not heard the news because it just came out recently, and you maybe not following Jeff Passan or whoever else reported this, that Shohei Ohtani gets a $700 million, 10-year, $700 million contract from the Dodgers over the weekend. Everything was done in secrecy. There was some reports that Toronto was going to be in play. It ends up that he goes and stays in L.A. He signs with the Dodgers, which was kind of the early on favorite for that. But he gets $700 million. Everyone thinks, well, that's crazy. That's $70 million a year. That is going to be a huge cap hit for the Dodgers. It's going to be hard for them to pay other players. You're also playing Mookie Betts, who's one of the highest paid players in baseball. You've got a lot of big name contracts on there, and then you're going to try and bring in more.
It's the Dodgers.
And then you've got a lot of money, but you're saying it just in Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani guaranteed money, it's over $1 billion for 2 of your players. And guaranteed money you're paying out, right? Because Mookie Betts is like 400-something million,
right.
Something like that. And Shohei, so over $1 billion.
Every bit of it, yeah.
So it's a lot. However, the news came out today that Shohei Ohtani has said, I get it. You know what, guys? I want to still compete. Now, they're going to still have a $46 million cap hit.
Okay.
So it's still going to have to pay, and it's still going to go in the luxury tax, but it won't be as bad because he is only going to take $2 million a year for the next 10 years.
And the $680 is deferred to the end of the contract.
The $680 is deferred to the end of the contract, which means that Shohei Ohtani is basically giving a massive discount while he's playing to try and get other best players in there, to try and get the Dodgers to be a better team so that he can compete and win, because that's really at the end of the day what he wants. And then at the end of the day, give me the $680 million. Now, we can say in the tax law that he will make more because of taxes. You can also say if you're good at investing money, he's losing a lot of money. Because if you give me $70 million, I can turn it into $150 million in 10 years.
In 10 years, yeah.
So we can say he could double his money if he invests correctly.
He's not hurting.
So I'm just saying, if we want to say the tax laws, yes, there is tax laws in there. There's also the fact that he could be able to get out of it and invest the money and do other things with it. So it is not necessarily just a financial, I'm going to avoid taxes in this way. It is something where he's going to be able to try and get better players on the team because he is not doing it. Now, once he leaves the Dodgers in 10 years, unless the American economy has crumbled, which is a possibility.
Maybe that's what they were banking on.
I think that's what they're banking on.
They're like, sign him 10 years. Oh, we'll pay it at the end. Oh, absolutely. Sign away.
Sign away. But yeah, they got him on layaway.
They do got him.
They got him on the Amazon Prime, the Amazon.
They got that that bubble payment coming up at the end.
Yeah, that's that one where they get their furniture back. That Shohei Ohtani going to get all that $680 million. I'm sure it's going to be deferred out in some way at the end, where Bobby Bonilla Day will long been sought after when Bonilla's like, what is he getting? He's getting another $1 million. And you're like, no, Shohei Ohtani's getting $25 million again.
Yeah, they're not going to pay all of it. At the end, they'll find another way to restructure this. But the way it's set up now, that is an interesting way to structure it.
It is a crazy thing. It's more annoying because now we see the Dodgers are getting another break that they will be able to spend and try and compete and try and be a pain for everyone else. That now the Yankees have Soto and the Dodgers have Shohei. And it was fun when it was in Texas for a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
It was fun when the league was fun in Texas, but now the coast again have come back and said money will ruin the MLB, and we'll just try and spend it all.
Astros, you're up next. What are we doing? Who are we getting? Who are we bringing into town?
I was reading the day that the Astros, they're going to be into the tax, like a different type of tax level than they've been at
Oh,
just from the signing, and that's without signing anybody else. So they're probably not spending a lot more money, and they still haven't re-signed Kyle Tucker. We got to get into that at some point.
well, it's been fun, Bregman, but sorry, buddy.
So a difficult one there for the tech for everyone else who is a fan of MLB and not a fan of those teams. I know there's Yankees fans, a lot of Yankees fans. I know there's a lot of Dodgers fans. My man Craig Way, big Dodgers fan. No love lost for those teams.
No, not even a little bit.
No love lost. It's crazy when you're like this 7th highest spending team in baseball, and you're like, we can't even get close to competing with the amount of money that the 1 and 2 are spending. You can't even get close. And then you look at like the Pirates, and they're spending as much as we make in here. They're like, oh, we're spending like $32,000.
Well, it's like the scene from Moneyball where Brad Pitt is breaking it down. He's like, here's the rest of the teams. Here's 30 feet of crap, and then here's us at the bottom.
Hey, by the way, you're welcome, Las Vegas. Because if that owner decides to do what he's been doing, you have just gotten the worst baseball team year in and year out when he was going to refuse to spend money.
Well, it's because the way the owner's deal is set up. There's a lot more into that.
There
There
is.
Yeah.
There is. But yes, that is the news. That is the big news. Is we got the big news over the weekend that Shohei Ohtani was going to be going to the Dodgers. And now that the contract is signed up, it's even better news for Dodgers fans. So congrats if you're a Dodgers fan. You lucky.
I don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to hear about it.
Another texter texts in and says, do y'all still live stream on Twitch? Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Live right now.
We're currently up streaming right now and on YouTube as well.
YouTube, and we're also live on X.
We're live on X as
We
well.
are live on
You
X.
can get us wherever you get your things. WPI Parts guy says, any updates on Stroud? He's in concussion protocol, his last I've heard. That it wasn't necessarily the hit of anything else. It was a
whiplash.
It was a whiplash. His head, if you watch it, his head hits on there. That's what I've heard last. I don't know if I've not heard anything else.
His legs looked a little gimpy when he got hit. I was a little worried. It looked pretty bad.
It did not look good. And
Yeah.
the rest of that game, I think, you pull him out of that game anyway,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't let him go back on the field.
because there's no point. It was just a bad game. It was a bad game. Hopefully it does not have long-term repercussions. Nico Collins is the one I'm a little bit more worried about because it was not like concussions are a serious thing, but we know what the timeline kind of is.
Right.
You understand, either he can go or he can't go. It's not something of,
Well, it's pretty clear. He either clears the protocol or he doesn't.
yes. So we'll see, and it may be really bad. Hopefully it is not. Hopefully he will be back with the team and maybe miss 1 week.
But Nico and that calf.
Nico and the calf, I've not heard what has happened there yet, but I know he missed the rest of that game. And also Blake Cashman is another big one there as well. I do want to mention a couple games in the NBA tonight. The Spurs are playing at Houston tonight. Rockets are a 9.5-point favorite in this game, which is disappointing to see, but the Rockets have been playing really good defense at home, and defense could stop this Spurs team. I'm curious to see. Popovich brought out another starting lineup
Really?
on Friday.
Who we got?
He put Malachi Branham in the starting lineup, bitch Zach Collins, put Jeremy Sohan back in the starting lineup.
Okay.
So he went Branham, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, Wemby at the 5, and kind of played them a little different. They
Trying to
played
get a little quicker, I guess.
going against the Bulls, had a good game. Then the third quarter, they were awful again and lost the game on Friday. I believe they were up 11.5 and then were down 5 after the third.
Oh.
Yeah, just a bad quarter. They tried to stick it in the fourth, but yeah, could never get back into it. But that was another different starting lineup. We'll see if they change it again or if he sticks Malachi Branham back out there, if he puts Yeti Osman back out there, goes back to the original lineup with Zach Collins. This is a game against the Rockets where Şengün owned them last time. Going against Zach Collins, he was just pushing him around. So we'll see with a big man for the Houston if they find another way to who they put on him to try and bounce back with him so he doesn't just keep going under and hitting layups and dunks on the Spurs. And then when you put everybody else, can Wemby get going against this team where we know Dylan Brooks is going to go out there and try and injure him probably and try and take a cheap shot and do whatever he can to get on the news because no one's talked about him in a couple of weeks. So
Wait a minute. Nobody's saying my name.
So we'll see. But no, this is it's definitely right now for the Spurs. You were just trying to see any signs of life. That texter was joking. Do the Spurs get another win? But right now, that third quarter for them is they're one of the worst third quarter teams in NBA. I'd probably say history at this point, but because they're playing decent in the first half and then just come out from the break and are getting the break speed off them. It's not great right now.
Pop, just do halftime on the court. Just do it like high school. Go to the corner of the court. Let's just do high school right there. Don't let them leave that environment.
Just watch Red Panda from the sideline of the court. No one knows who Red Panda is. That's how you can tell.
Yeah.
Red Panda, if you've been to enough games, you have seen Red Panda and her bowl flipping onto the head on a unicycle thing that, when I say it out loud, doesn't sound right, but it's so enjoyable.
You made it sound so cool.
I'm just telling you, it's one of the most enjoyable things you're ever going to watch in a basketball game, besides basketball. The Mavs are also taking on the Grizzlies tonight. Mavs are extremely beat up, so they're only a 1.5-point favorite against this Grizzlies team that has struggled. Ja Morant going to be coming back soon. We'll see if the Grizzlies are going to be able to go back. But Kyrie Irving, the injury to his foot and heel is not as bad as they thought. They believe it's just a bruise right now, but he is having trouble because he has a bruise on his heel, which is a painful thing. So imagine. He may not. So he is out for this game. Max Kleber is out for this game. Grant Williams is out for this game. And Josh Smith is out for this game. Josh Green is out for this game.
Do they have like 7 guys left on the roster?
So, you're going to see a lot of, not surprisingly, Luka will play a lot of minutes, and
probably
Tim Hardaway Jr. will have to step up in this game. Derek Lively will have to play in that post because you're losing Maxi Kleber, and that's some more minutes over there. Grant Williams is out too. It's just a lot of guys are out. They're going to have to kind of get over with. And it's disappointing for Mavs fans because you're at a point in the season where you're getting a lot of rest because of the in-season tournament.
Right.
You're getting a lot of extra rest, and they're coming out of it still really banged up.
So which way would you go in that? I'm curious on that 1.5 line.
I'd still probably go Mavs.
Okay, you think they can?
I think Luka, and this Grizzlies team has not been good this season.
Right.
They have not found their identity at all without Ja Morant. Losing Dylan Brooks, they added Marcus Smart to this team.
Yeah, they have 6 wins on the season,
and they have not been playing well. The experiment. I just don't know if they found it yet. It'll be curious when Ja Morant comes back if they're able to click it into it. It's kind of like what Texas is kind of waiting for with Dylan Nassau, and you want to see, all right, when we add this piece back,
how long does it take?
And how much does it make us a better team, or is it we're still around the same type of team? Because we can say with Texas, it's with Dylan Nassau. You hope that excels you to now a top 10 team when you're top 19. You can go, okay, now we're top 10, and then maybe the players, and we'll see if Chris Johnson can come along and we can improve, and if the 3-point shooting gets better and the offense gets better. Because Rodney Terry is a guy that we've seen, and Chris Beard was this way too, that they really started off the beginning of the season was all about defense. They practice defense so much, the offense doesn't look great, and it kind of goes until conference play when they start working that offense more. But it's a season-long project where they figure they're going to be able to get in the tournament, and you just want to win games in the tournament. And so that's kind of the end goal of everything. But that offense is not really where it needs to be yet, and I think, you want to get that defense to be where it wants to be, but it's just the way certain coaches are, and it can be painful to watch at points.
Yeah, no, they just need a counter to the zone, like you brought up earlier, because teams are going to keep using it.
Oh yeah, and especially you're playing a game. Your next game for Texas is going to be Saturday against LSU.
Yeah,
so you're going to be playing another team that's not great, but it's another team that is not a Houston Christian. It's a team with D1 Power 5 talent.
It's a team that'll punish you for 16 offensive rebounds.
It is. They're going to be a team you're going to have to play again next season because you're going to be moving to that SEC. So it's a big game for Texas. So we'll see what happens coming up with them. But yeah, this offense is going to have to prove for them. And for the Grizzlies, you're getting a Ja Morant, so your offense will be a little bit better because you have a guy who can ISO and get you points. But it'll be for the Mavs tonight. Not probably the funnest game for you to watch with a lot of Mavs out against a not great Grizzlies team. But if you do want to watch that, I believe that's on NBA TV. So you can check that one out. You can watch that game as well. All right,
Grizzlies are 1-9 at home.
Th're not good anywhere.
1-9.
We're gonna take a break. They're not doing the "Whoop That Trick" song anymore.
Oh no, I don't imagine they are.
Funny. Sing about domestic violence. It only gets you so far.
Well, it's because they lost Dylan Brooks.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we will talk about. We'll wrap the show up. Get you ready for a night of sports and a lot of basketball tonight. 2 football games. Plenty to watch on a Monday night. We'll get you ready to go. Here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 101.9 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Wrapping things up here on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. We appreciate everybody who played along with us on the text line, 512-447-3776. Save it in your phone. Get ready for more talk tomorrow as we'll be back, and we'll get into more talk. We'll get maybe a little bit more into the Texas Football Awards and all of those things and the Heisman, and we can talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. We'll, of course, be recapping the NBA games and the NFL games tomorrow and all of that good stuff as well. I do like, if you know that what that song is, where we played that last call, it's I Drink Alone by George Thorogood. And then I heard a song, and I was talking about my friends about this the other day, that there's a song that's crazy from George Thorogood. It's a song title is just, if you don't start drinking, I'm going to leave. And it's a whole song about the guy, basically he's a drunk, and then he's upset because his girlfriend or wife will not keep drinking with him.
Yeah.
And so any song where it's like, the line is, I'm tired of looking at your sober face through my alcoholic haze.
Oh man,
it's just a bonkers song in 2023. When you hear it now and how much the world's changed, you're like, yeah, that song would not fly anymore.
When was it? When did it?
This would have to be late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in that range, probably. It's funny stuff. We think it text any insight into Jarrett Gibson commitment to Texas. It's a 4-star running back from the IMG Academy in Florida. He seems to be a speedy guy. I'm sure he's going to be kind of like CJ Baxter in that he's going to need a little bit of time to get, his body up to playing Power 5, especially in the SEC next year. So he may not get a ton of reps his freshman year, especially with Jonathan Brooks and CJ Baxter being there, but he's a speed guy who could be used in some very cool ways for Texas, and it's a good signing for this class. All right, we're out of here. Until we talk to you tomorrow, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock for more of the Sports Complex.